From the East Texas Sports Network studios, powered by Texas Dairy Queen, a tradition of excellence, the ETSN podcast, where Clint Buckley and Mike Graham they just talk. It's the lowdown on everything high school football in East Texas. And now, Clint Buckley and Mike Graham.
The rain is on its way. Yep, it's going to be a wet Friday, and in some cases, maybe even Thursday. As the great poet Luke Bryan once said, rain is a good thing. I don't know about all that. We definitely need it, though. I don't know if the coaches would agree with that come game night, because, rain does all kinds of crazy things on game night. But anyway, welcome to the Week 9 edition of the ETSN.fm podcast. I am Clint Buckley, and I'm joined by the 100% Mike Graham. You good, bro?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the season. I don't think anyone is 100%, us reporters included. But, yeah, sorry about missing last week. I had strep throat, and Clint told me to stay away from the office. So
I did, because I want no part of strep throat. So let's get right into it. Obviously, the topic that's dominated this region over the last few days has been the tragic circumstances in Alto with the death of junior football player Cameron Matthews. By now, everyone knows all they need to know at this point about what happened. Collapses right before halftime of Friday's game against Carlisle. He's air flighted to a Tyler hospital, and then later passes away. Right now, the initial cause is aneurysm. It's just a tough deal for Alto. Obviously, our deepest condolences go out to Paul Gould, the coaching staff, the players, and really everybody in Alto.
Yeah, no kidding. I love this area, and the kids are amazing. They're full of charisma. They're great athletes, but on top of that, they're great people. To see one go down is very hard for everyone, and I hope that everyone in Alto finds us in okay spirits as we continue on.
Right. The secondary element of the game being suspended was, there had to be an outcome reached. And, it was an important game. Obviously both teams were undefeated on the year coming in. It was one of our highlighted games last week. So long story short, both coaches agreed to let the UIL District Executive Committee make the decision, and they did the right thing. Alto was up 21-7 at the time. It seemed only right that they would award the victory to Alto. So they get the win. They stay 7-0. Carlisle 6-1. Paul Gould, I tweeted this out yesterday. He's been very complimentary of Carlisle and how they've handled this situation. Obviously, you want to beat the team you're lining up against on Friday night, but there is a line drawn, and there are some things that are more important than football. And Carlisle did the right thing and said, you know what, we're good with whatever is good with y'all. So kudos to Rocky Baker. They did the right thing.
Yeah, I think Carlisle had every legal right to contest the outcome of the game and try to get it played, maybe if not this week, at some point during the season, and they didn't. And that was very thoughtful of them, because seeding's on the line. We think that Alto is going to finish in district in first place, and now because of the loss, Carlisle will be in second place. So very thoughtful gesture of them to take that L.
All right, well, on to this week's action. We mentioned it at the top. Rain could be an issue. At the time we're recording this is about 4 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. We've had three games moved up to Thursday because of the impending weather that's forecasted for Friday. I think the last time I looked, there was a 100% chance of precipitation on Friday in East Texas. So whenever there's 100% in the forecast, there's going to be rain. Don't know how much. Don't know which areas specifically are going to get the most precipitation. But the 3 games that were moved up, they're all northeast. They're all in the Texarkana area. Center Atlanta, Gladewater against
Pleasant
Grove, and then Liberty Ilo against Quinlan Ford. So those games are now at 7 o'clock Thursday instead of 7:30 Friday. We'll do our best to keep everyone updated on Twitter and Facebook if we see any other cancellations between now and then. But let's get into the action this week. Game of the week, it's a big one. We thought this could be a possibility a couple of weeks ago when we saw West Rusk get off to the start that they got off to. They're still rocking and rolling. Wascom 7-0. They're the defending state champs. They got a long winning streak on the line. you're going to be there in New London at Bruce Bradshaw Stadium, which is a nice venue, by the way.
I love that place.
Nice venue, by the way. It's new. It's I believe maybe only 3 or 4 years old. So it's a great venue. There's a lot of small school playoff games that are hosted there early on. Wascom to West Rusk, 7-0 versus 7-0. I think this is the first. This may be the only 7-0 versus 7-0 that we have this week. I could be wrong, but I mean, regardless, undefeated versus undefeated. What are you looking forward to the most in this game?
I'm just looking forward to seeing if West Rusk can rise up to this challenge, because we know what Wascom's made of. Head-to-head, Wascom has performed better against common opponents than West Rusk. And, oh, by the way, it's on a 22-game winning streak, while West Rusk was 1-6 this time last year. So right. I'm anxious to see how good this Raiders football team really is, and I think they've got a heck of a defense. Joe Wright, 99 tackles, so one more, he has 100. Kevin Jones had an amazing game last week against Elysian Fields. There are a lot of playmakers on that side of the ball, and they're going to have to bring their A game, because turns out that Wascom losing Kevin Jones and Kevin Johnson and Junebug Johnson wasn't the worst thing. Chan Amy and a stable of other really good running backs have taken over, and no one's been able to get close to Wascom this season.
Yeah, our good buddy Mike Craven has a story this week up on our website right now about Wascom. He talked to head coach Whitney Keeling, and he said it was kind of a Keeling knew that that they were going to lose the majority of the core of that team from last year, the one state, but a lot of times things that get overlooked is when you move up, the JV, the sub-varsity for the playoffs, they're getting those extra reps in practice. Mm-hmm. They're seeing, they're on the field, they're on the sidelines watching, what the playoffs are all about. And for them to get that kind of experience, even though it may not have been a whole lot of game reps, that's really been beneficial for them this year. Yeah,
and they did get some game reps because they blew out so many people in the playoffs. But yeah, 6 weeks is a considerable amount of time to be on varsity and doing that stuff. I think that Wascom is going to be a power from here on out. Obviously, they're going to have to reload again next year, but they've got some talent. I think they're here to stay, and it's going to be interesting to see if West Rusk starts to show signs that it can sustain what it's doing. And with a heck of a defense right now, and a good offense to support them, it's possible that they'll get some playoff experience and kind of start their own trend upwards.
We kind of live in our own little bubble here in East Texas. So people that maybe are listening to us that aren't from here, may think we're overhyping this game, because as you mentioned, West Rusk, they were 1-6 last year, and Wascom is a defending state champ. So from afar, I mean, people are probably saying, well, how good is this game really going to be? But we're not the only ones that is excited about this game. Matt Stepp from the Old Coach Network, who covers the entire state in high school football, he asked us a question. He said, is West Rusk for real? So, I mean, there are people that are across the state that are paying attention to this game.
They performed very well. They've got the third highest scoring offense in the district. They're 1 point behind ARP. Wascom's way ahead of them, but with the defensive unit that West Rusk has, I think they can really give Wascom a good game. Right,
so that ought to be fun. Again, 7:30 Friday, for the moment, Bruce Bradshaw Stadium in New London, home of the West Rusk Raiders. I'm looking forward to hearing all about it Friday night from you when we hook up after our games are over with. But on to the big schools. District 16 5A, John Tyler, They did take control of the district, I think, last week with the win over Ennis. They're the only team that's undefeated right now in that district. But, I mean, there's still 3 weeks left in the season, and there are a couple of interesting games that could throw a wrench in everything, this week, depending on the outcome. We've got John Tyler against Corsicana. Last year, this game's an afterthought, but Corsicana, they're 6-1 overall, 3-1 in district, just a game behind JT. Only loss was the district opener, I believe, to Lindale. Mm-hmm. So they've won 3 in a row since. John Tyler, obviously, they're hot. They've won 4 in a row. Back-to-back wins against Lufkin and Ennis. Doesn't get much better than that. And it's on the road for John Tyler. So while I don't think it's likely, I do think that, I wouldn't be completely surprised if John Tyler lost. I'll say that. And then you got Lufkin and Ennis, 2 one-loss teams playing each other in the other game. So if Corsicana does pull the upset and beat JT, we'll have a 3-way tie at 4-1 with 2 weeks left in the regular season. So those 2 games are at least worth paying attention to.
Right, and the 3 teams in that first place deadlock would be Corsicana by beating John Tyler, which would get its first loss. Both of those teams would be 4-1. And then the winner of Lufkin and Ennis would join them in that first place spot.
That Lufkin-Ennis game's intriguing because remember when the district started, we both thought that these 2 teams, were probably going to be the teams because John Tyler was 0-3. We really didn't know what to expect at that point from them. But Lufkin, they lose to John Tyler. It's a close game, 41-38. But it's at home. We both thought that Lufkin was going to win that game. And then Ennis last week, I saw Ennis. First time I've seen them since the scrimmage against Longview. They looked pretty good in the scrimmage I saw against Longview. They can't pass. I know that they're a run-first team, but they could at least make some plays through the air last year. They won state on that long touchdown pass at the very end of the game.
It was like a Crabtree catch.
Right. So, and John Tyler just dominated them on both lines.
Yeah.
They ran the ball as good as they've run all year, I think. And Ennis really, aside from a couple of late, fourth quarter, drives when was kind of the game was already decided, Ennis really couldn't run the ball. And if you look at these 2 teams, they need a win just to get their swagger back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? More than just trying to stay alive for a district championship. They need to get their swagger back.
And you're right. I think you look at Ennis's passing stats, 43 for 103. It's like 43%, something around that area. I believe 600 yards versus 1,800 alone between their top 3 rushers. Obviously, the game plan is going to be to try to control the run. And you look at Lufkin and the opponents they've played, Longview, Tylen Miller, West Monroe, another strong running team.
Tyler Lee, that half, they couldn't stop Lee at all.
Yeah,
running or passing.
And then these past 2 weeks, John Tyler and then a Lindale team that's got a very good running game of its own and running back Ryan Taylor. So they're prepared for this. And they've got a good front, obviously headlined by Bronson Massey, who's got a handful of Pac-12 offers as his headlining offers. I think it's a good matchup for them. Fun fact, though, no East Texas team has won at Ennis since they joined the district last year.
Okay, well, yeah, I guess that makes sense. They were 7-0 last year, and obviously haven't lost a home game in district this year. So yeah, it is interesting. Lufkin's going to have to bring it, obviously, I think, to go up there and get a win. On to 15-5A. Marshall and Texas High. This game is a little more interesting now that we learned that starting quarterback Justin Hart is gone for the year with a knee injury. Heard it a couple of weeks ago in a win over Greenville, or last week, I assume, against Greenville. Not the end of the world for Marshall because they have Cam Haller, who, he's 8 of 10 on the year. And for those of you who haven't seen Marshall, don't know what they do. Sometimes Hart and Haller are in the backfield at the same time, and sometimes it's Haller taking the snap with Chavis Mills, the running back, next to him. And sometimes when he's out there, he's not just a run-first guy. Obviously, that's what he is. He's a running back, but he will throw the ball, and he's 8 of 10 this year. And I believe 4 of those 8 completions have been touchdown passes. Yeah. So, and he's got a stud. He's a stud high school catcher. He's got a great arm. So, is it the worst thing that could have happened to Marshall? No. I do feel bad for Justin Hart because, his high school career is done. This is a guy that's been starting at quarterback for Marshall since he was a freshman. He's huge in their win against Longview. So I feel bad for him.
Yeah, Justin Hart's a great kid, and he's massively undersized for the quarterback position and plays it with a lot of heart. And I know that he's been scrapping for looks from a couple of schools below the Division I level, and I hope he gets an opportunity because he is a great quarterback. And to see him leave, obviously, Marshall, while Holler's got a good arm and stuff, they can't be as diverse as they were, and they're gonna have to figure out other things. And Texas High, that's a good defense, so We'll see what happens in this game.
Exactly. Well, there's 3 other games we want to touch on real quickly. Bullard against Gilmer. Some people may laugh at that, but I think Bullard's 2-0. They're both 2-0. They're the only unbeatens left in that district. And Gilmer's, they got a 23-game winning streak on the line. It's naive to think that they're going to win every single game for the rest of eternity. It's going to come to an end at some point. And I'm sure that's what Shannon Wilson and everybody, the coaches this week have been talking to Bullard about. It's like, okay, we have a great opportunity here. This is the number 2 team in the state in the AAP, the defending state champs. No one's given us a chance. No one. We've got to go to Gilmer. I think this is like one of 7 home games for them this year.
Yeah. After last year, yeah.
Right. So no one's giving them a shot, but who knows? Stranger things have happened.
And fun fact about this game, the Texas connection. You had Major Tennyson commit to Texas last week. Senior DeMarco Boyd signed with Texas earlier this week, so I guess they're going to be teammates on the next level, and they're going to be going head-to-head, DeMarco Boyd on defense and Major Tennyson from a tight end, wide receiver hybrid spot, so that's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll say hi to each other maybe before the game and share the bro hug afterward after it's over with, but they're not. Let's be real, they're not shaking hands once the game kicks off.
No doubt, and they're both great players. That's going to be a fun matchup to watch.
Another big one, Brownsboro and Carthage. Brownsboro, wow. You want to talk about a team that came out of nowhere. This is a team that won 3 games total the previous 2 years. They've already won 4 this year. And, oh, by the way, they're 2-0 in 9-4A Division I. And for those of you who aren't aware, shame on you, but that district includes Carthage, Kilgore, Chapel Hill, and now Brownsboro. Henderson's in the mix, too. What can you say? Tamarick Pace. What a stud that guy is. He got an SFA offer yesterday. He's now got 2 FCS offers. I believe he holds another one from Northwestern State. What a game he had last week against Henderson. They fall behind 19-0 in the first half against Henderson, and we're like, so, that's what's going to happen when Brownsboro plays Henderson. but Brownsboro, they take a 22-19 lead at halftime. And then they fall behind again in the second half. They're down, I believe, 36-27, either late in the third or early in the fourth quarter. And Pace, he easily could have been our offensive player of the week. We have a different selection, for a little bit different reasons. But ran for 250 yards in the game, 3 touchdowns, threw for 2 more touchdowns, including the game winner with 10 seconds left.
Yeah,
42-36. Brownsboro is 2-0. Now, I don't envy them because they're on the road at Carthage, and Carthage is not happy about what happened last week, losing to Kilgore in a game featuring district unbeatens. So in Carthage, I believe they are 37-3 in district games under Scott Surratt, and they don't lose at home very often. This is going to be a huge test for Brownsboro, but it has our attention at least.
Yeah. And Tamarick Pace, got to see him in the preseason scrimmage against Mineola, and watching Mineola struggle with him, you're kind of like, uh-oh, is this team capable of going back to the Class 3A Division I state championship? And I guess the answer is yes, because of what Brownsboro's been able to do during the regular season. Tamarick Pace, an amazing athlete. He won't be playing quarterback at the next level.
He's a receiver.
Yeah, but they let him play that so they can snap the ball and it's in his hands and he can run around. And what a job Coach Hooker has done at Brownsboro. 4 wins this year, 3 combined the past 2 years. And Brownsboro is I can remember some good Brownsboro teams growing up.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm excited to see what the future has in store for that program, especially after Pace leaves.
Oh yeah, should be something Friday. We'll learn a lot about both teams after that game on Friday night at Bulldog Stadium in Carthage. Now, we don't talk a lot about private schools on the show. I'm sure the TAPS folks out there probably don't like that too much, but we are going to talk a little bit about Bishop Gorman against Dallas Christian this week because, in all likelihood, that's going to decide that district championship.
Yeah, both teams romping and stomping. Bishop Gorman, Judah Bell, the receiver, has 925 yards.
What a beast that guy is.
Yeah. Quarterback Michael Goodwin, senior, is on pace to break his passing yardage from last year. I think he's around 1,700 yards right now. It's a very high-flying offense. Their defense has taken a step forward, and now they're playing a Dallas Christian team that's pretty much dominated this district ever since the East Texas teams got incorporated into TAPS Division II District 2.
An interesting thing about Gorman, you know what happened for them 20 years ago. They won their only state championship in football. So, it's history. Maybe on their side this year. Who knows? They have a tough one this week against Dallas Christian. Now, I will throw a disclaimer out there. Dallas Christian has a lot of underclassmen. I think their biggest impact players on offense are either sophomores or juniors, but they're still 6-1, and their one loss was an admirable one if there is such a thing. But and they're undefeated in district. They beat Grace, a one-loss team in district. And it's going to be tough. It's on the road, but who knows? We mentioned the studs that Gorman has, especially on offense with Goodwin and Judah Bell. I'm not going to be surprised if they go up there and win. Yeah,
I predict that neither of these teams will lose another district game after they face each other. Don't forget revenge. Dallas Christian knocked Gorman out of the playoffs last season.
I'm gonna tell you to pump the brakes on that just a little bit, because remember the regular season finale, Gorman against Grace. So Grace wins out, and Gorman wins this game. That could be a three-way tie at the end of the year. Those are rivals. You don't know. You never know what happens in rivalry games. But I tend to agree with you. I think that whichever team wins this game will win district, especially if it's Dallas Christian, because they've already beaten Grace and they will have beaten Gorman. So, but yeah, this feels like it's going to be for all the marbles in TAPS Division II District 2. All right, well, our players of the week, we referenced it just a minute ago. Our offensive player of the week is Jeremiah Robertson from Huntington. This may be the first time we've ever talked about Huntington on the podcast, and for good reason. All they did last week was snap a 34-game district losing streak, first time they win a district game since 2007. And you're thinking, how in the world did Huntington win a district game? How did they do it? Jeremiah Robertson's how they did it. 421 rushing yards, all 6 of their touchdowns, and a 42-28 win over Madisonville. Oh, and for good measure, he returned a kickoff 80 yards in the game. So it's safe to say that he had just a little bit to do with ending that dreaded losing streak for Huntington. So congratulations to Jeremiah Robertson and the Huntington Red Devils. They got an intriguing game this week against Diboll. Diboll is 1-1. And just like Huntington. So, the winner of this game is in good standing for a possible playoff berth. So, congrats to Jeremiah and the Huntington Red Devils. Defensive player of the week, we talked a little bit about him at the Open. Kevin Jones from West Rusk.
Yeah, heck of a performance. In a 5-point win against Elysian Fields, Kevin Jones came up with 3 interceptions and broke up an additional 5 passes. Those are amazing numbers for any defensive back on any level. And with those 3 interceptions, he now leads East Texas with 7 interceptions total. So that's 1 per game. So we'll see what he's got against Wascom on Friday.
Yeah, it might sound odd that we picked a defensive player of the week from a team that gave up 48 points, but he caused 3 turnovers.
Right.
So how many more points would Elysian Fields would have scored had he not taken the ball away from them 3 times?
Right, 3 possessions gone. I guess theoretically a 21-point swing.
Yeah, true. Well, that's going to do it for this week. Be sure to visit ETSN.fm before Friday to get ready for all of the action. Have any questions or comments for us? You know the drill. Twitter, @Clint Buckley, @Mike_ETSN. Everyone stay dry and have fun wherever you are, and we'll talk to y'all next week.